What's going on, guys? In this video we are going to install the OEM SeaDoo BRP sound kit onto a SeaDoo GTI. This is kit number 295-100-839. This is a 24 SeaDoo GTI, I believe. Yes, it is. Without audio, obviously. And this is the non-SE model. Audio will work regardless. It's a pretty straightforward install. They give you the instruction booklet, of course. But the first thing we're going to do here is we need to pull back on the traction mats here. You'll see that there is a slit. I'm not sure if that comes up on the video or not, but there is a slit where this is kind of perforated. So we're going to pull back on this traction mat here. This will be the first thing we do to get started. And you'll see just like that, traction mat comes up and you'll see the OEM studs that are meant for the audio kit. So let's go ahead and move on to the next step. Alright, next thing we're going to do is just use a 5.5mm drill bit to just clear out these holes. Make sure they're clear for the bolts we're going to use. Alright, and we're going to do the same on the other side. That's it. Alright, the next thing I want to do is remove the plastic panels. So I'm going to take this rear one off, and then I'm also going to take the front. First thing we'd have to do is just remove this T30 bit right here. Alright, these plastic panels can be a little bit tricky, so I'm going to show you how you can get them off. There is a push tab in here, and then there's a few tabs along the top. So we're just going to remove this, pop the bottom out, just like that, and then we're just going to pull back until it pops out, just like that. Alright, and with that side piece off, we now need to take off the front trim, and in order to do that, we're going to take off the two T30 bits here to lift up the front console. And then there's also two of these plastic retainers. It's a little bit difficult to see, but they are just underneath there. You'll see them. They actually kind of keep, they sit in behind the plastic tab, and it prevents this trim from sliding around. So that needs to be removed, as well as these two T30s. Let's go ahead and do that now. Alright, with those bolts out, this piece will just slide out like so, and then your side trim here will also just pop out, just like that. And you can actually see where the factory speaker mounts are going to go. We'll have one of the mounts here, and then we're going to have two of the bottom speaker bolts that will go here. But very easy access to everything in here. And in fact, with this open, I would suggest spraying some white lithium grease or something in here. That's where your little, I don't want to call it a bearing because it's just plastic, but that's, if you get a steering squeal when you're out riding, that's where it's coming from. So since you have this open, you might as well spray some in there. Alright guys, next thing you need to do is remove the plastic trim tabs that are in each of the three holes on either side. Kind of a pain. You just got to use a flathead or a trim removal tool and just pop each one of these out. I'm not going to show the process because it's just, you know, just dumb, but I'm going to go take out the other side and then we'll move on to the next step. The next step is going to involve reaching behind the upper body here. In order to do that, we need to remove this divider. There's a little rubber suspender that kind of goes on the top here. We just remove that. And then there's two plastic trim tabs at the bottom. We're just going to pop those out, and then this will basically separate. We don't have to fully remove it. We just need to get it out of the way so that we can reach behind here. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, the next step is to take the included mounts and the hardware, and we're going to basically just find which one goes where. We can see that all three holes line up on this side, so this is very clearly the right side mount. And then we're just going to put the nuts and bolts in to secure this. I'm going to do that on both sides. And just so it's clear, the top is going to receive the nut, and then there's going to be a washer or a bolt on the top, and then washer and nut on the underside. So 3 on each side. Let's go ahead and knock that out. Alright, and there we have it. We have the right side mount attached. I'll go over here and show you this side. Left side's also attached. Good to go. The next step, we are going to install the speakers themselves, and you'll notice it doesn't matter if you have a ski with the sound system or not. They are all pre-wired for them, so you can see the accessory harness that we're going to use here. I'm just going to keep it in its little holding spot for now until I get the speakers mounted, but we are going to place the left speaker, mount the left speaker, mount the right speaker. We'll connect the two speakers together. I'll show you how that works. And then we'll get them connected here. So let's get the speakers mounted first and we'll go from there. The speaker's good to go. Alright guys, for the right speaker, this is the one that's going to have the wire loom that goes to the other side. There's a few ways you can route this wire. You can either pass through the cavity in here, which is most likely what I want to do, or you can route it through and kind of go under the plastics here, go across, and then back down. That's a little bit longer, so I'm just going to go ahead and feed it through here, and then we'll get the speaker attached. In fact, I'll actually try to, let me see if I can do this one-handed. I'll try to push this up into its bracket. Just like that. Alright, it's attached. And now I'll go ahead and send the wire through, get it connected. Alright, there's the wire loom, so we'll just pull the excess out there. So there's two connections on here. One is going to connect to the left speaker, and then the other is going to connect to the accessory harness, which is already here. So let's go ahead and we'll get those connected. Alright, those are connected. I'm just going to send these on the back side here. Just loop it around and push those tabs through, just like that, just to get these wires out of the way. Now they're nice and secured, so those wires are all set. The next step is a little bit tricky to show on camera, so I'm just going to explain it. So we're going to take the included hardware, send it through, and we're going to send these bolts through those holes that we kind of cleared out. They were already pre-drilled, but we just cleared them out. But the difficult part is these retainer nuts, which are going to be secured from under the footwell. So you kind of have to reach down in there to catch the bottom of that nut in order to insert these. I'm going to go ahead and do that now off camera, just because there's no good way for me to film that. But we're going to do that for these two on the right side, as well as the other two on the left side. So in terms of installing the speakers, that's all there is to it. It's really just a couple bolts, electrical connections, and that's all there is. So we're just going to go in the opposite direction now and reinstall the body panels that we took off. And then of course when we're finished, we'll do a test to make sure everything works out perfectly. So let's go ahead and we'll start putting the trim back. So the first up is going to be this front panel. These two gray ones that we took off in the past. So we'll go ahead and just line those up. The difficult part is going to be trying to get it around the speaker. Really just kind of finagle it in and then you'll get it. And we just have to make sure that the retainer tabs on the front here are secured. So kind of push down on the plastic and then push it forward just like that. The tabs up here do not matter. These are, again, going to be mounted under the bezel that goes up by the steering column. So this one's in. I'm going to go take care of the other side and then we'll move on to the next step. That trim is in, so we can go ahead and put the steering column trim back in and get this lined up just like that. I'm going to make sure these are good on the other side before I push that in, just because we don't want to break any plastic tabs or anything like that. Yeah, that's good. Slap it in, and then we have those two T30 bolts. Let's go ahead and put those in now. Also, before we forget, do not forget to put these trim tabs back in under the front two gray plastics. Remember the ones from earlier that prevent it from sliding. In fact, I'm actually going to see if I can kind of show you where they go. Yeah, that little hole opening is where these trim pieces, the trim tabs, are going to go. And again, it just prevents this plastic from sliding around. Not that it would with everything in the way here, but you know, it's just an extra mounting point. Okay, next is the color accent trim piece. So we'll go ahead and slide this through. Just want to make sure those pieces line up. And of course, it grabbed onto the plastic here. We'll get those slots lined up just like that. We'll get these lined up, and then there's also this black trim retainer that you want to line up as well. So I'm going to try to see if I can do this on camera. Get this all lined up at once. Yep, just like that. And then it's just that T30 bolt holding it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side as well. All right, right, everything's back together. That's pretty much all there is. So pull off the plastic here, and of course we're going to test it out. So we'll just put the key in so it doesn't shut off on us. Wake the ski up, give it some time here, and we should eventually see this thing light up. Gotta wake it up first. There we go, and now it's in pairing mode. So I'm not going to pair it just because it's not my ski. I'll let him pair it when he gets back. But this is good to go. There's no fuses or anything that need to be tapped in. There's nothing. This whole install takes, God, I don't know, 30 minutes, if that. It took me an hour because I'm recording, but it's a very quick, easy to do install. Everything is already pre-wired, pre-drilled. So it's really just putting on the mounting bracket, and that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. If you guys have any questions at all about this install, or if there's something you weren't sure about and you want me to clarify, just reach out and in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.